Hello everyone, welcome to Prompt Template Lifecycle Framework. So we'll talk a lot today about Prompt Template Lifecycle. But before we do, forward-looking statement, please make your purchasing decisions based on what's available today. Feel free to take a screenshot and read it if you want to. Okay. Thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being customers and partners and in the ecosystem for Salesforce. We will not be here without you. That's the standard line we're supposed to say, but really, thank you. There's a conflicting session through the core. We thought nobody will be here, but you're all here, so that's encouraging. Thank you very much.
Great. I'm Harshini Jairam. I'm one of the product managers here on the Agentforce team and specifically on Prompt Builder. So excited to be here with you all today.
I'm Liz Awad. I'm also one of the product managers here on the Agentforce team working on Prompt Builder.
Jaswinder Ratanpal, another product manager on the Prompt Builder, and we have our team here, another prompt manager and our engineering lead here. You can see how important Prompt Builder is and why it works so nicely. So many great minds on it. Okay, let's start with a few questions. How many are you familiar with Prompt Builder? Keep it up if you've actually used it. And keep it up if you've gone through the entire life cycle, from planning to actually creating prompt templates, activating them, deploying them, and using them.
Nice.
Awesome. Thank you. That was the last question, I think about 20%. So that's what we'll talk about, what goes in when you are going from the beginning to the end, and you just use it. And that's why this session is for everyone. We'll start with a real business problem, and we'll walk you all the way through to the production. But before, here's our agenda. We'll talk a little bit about AI in Salesforce. I won't bore you, just 3 slides, stick with me. And we'll move on to prompt lifecycle and the demo, our majority today. And then we'll, in the end, show you roadmap, and there are 2 surprises for you. So stick with us. Agentic enterprises, they use Agentforce to augment their every workflow, whether that's conversational, you've used it with Agentforce, embedded AI, sales email editor, or LWC component, or background AI. Many of our customers now use triggers or batch APIs, and we'll talk about those, to process these records in the background. So it's everywhere. You may not have seen it front end, but maybe it's happening in the back end. A case comes in, automatically generates a summary for that to make it easier. And Prompt Builder is at the core of it. It allows you to create prompt templates that are reusable, grounded with real business data, and you can use it in any workflow at any scale. So anywhere you're using your AI, you can use prompt templates, including Agentforce. It's a key piece that allows you to customize your conversation, your instructions, and how to use them to fit your business needs. What are those business needs? Where do we see this being used? Harshini will walk you through that.
Perfect. So you've seen this overview of Prompt Builder, and what you see on the screen are some of the top use cases where this comes into play. So these span a very wide range of types of business impact and where in the business you can actually deploy these. Let's look at the first one, record summaries. So this is a way to just create a structured summary of a record object. If you think about this in a service context, you might want to create a summary of a case and populate that on the case page itself to help reduce handling time, improve data quality. You can also look at some of these other scenarios. So for example, language translation, again, to improve communication and reduce the amount of manual effort that's taken, all the way over to something like data redaction. And so this is a way to, again, across the board, you're seeing these as ways to reduce the manual effort and increase data quality, improve your turnover time, things like that. Now, what does it take to actually get there? Jaswinder teased this at the beginning when he talked about that life cycle, but it's much more than just building, testing, and deploying, right? Which is what is the first thought many people have. It starts with, of course, planning, Really identifying the right use case, getting very specific on the type of impact, and defining that success. Then you actually have to build it, test it to make sure you've built what you want, deploy it, and then the last but very important piece of the cycle, continuing to improve and iterate based on what you've heard. Let's go through each of those stages in more depth in terms of how we think about it and what we see as the best practices in each of those. So I will hand it over to Liz.
Awesome, thank you. So now we're in the first step of the life cycle. This is the planning phase, arguably the most important. This is where you're going to identify what is the problem and what is the goal, and how are you going to achieve it. Well, in our case, we want to create an executive summary for our sales reps. The reason we want to do this is because right now those sales reps are doing this manually. There's a lot of inconsistency. Sometimes the reps are including the right information, sometimes they're not, sometimes it's too long. And that leads to not the right data in your orgs. And so our goal is to create a standard and consistent executive-ready summary. The way we're going to do that is we're going to build a field generation template type. And we're going to give that template type direct access to the data that you have in your CRM org. And at the very end, we're going to deploy it so that our sales reps see a one-page consistent and structured summary every time they're prepping for meetings. So now that we've planned, we've gotten that approved, now we're going to go into the demo where I'm going to show you how we're going to build, test, deploy, and even improve your prompt template. And in our builder, we've made this very simple. So I'm going to go over to Prompt Builder. This is Prompt Builder. As you can see, the way that you create a new prompt template is by clicking New on the screen. As I mentioned, we're creating a field generation template. So I'm going to choose that template type from the dropdown. I'm going to give it a name. I'm going to add an input, which in this case is an opportunity. And because it's a field generation template type, we need to specify the field that we're working with. In this case, it's our custom summary field. And when I click Next, I'm going to have my prompt template show up. Now, we've created a new 3-panel view. So on the left, you can see here that this is our template settings. We are giving you the opportunity to choose your model from a long list of models that we have. So depending on your use case and your business, you have the choice. You can also see here things like model settings, and even you can configure languages. This gives you a lot of power. So right now, I'm new to prompt building, and all I've done right now is that I want to summarize the opportunity, and I've pulled in the record snapshot. Now, this is going to give an okay response from the large language model, as you're going to see here soon. But it's not exactly what I want. And the reason it's not exactly what I want is because I haven't given it instructions. And this is where most of our prompt builders start. There's no structure. We're not telling it who we're building the prompt template for. We're not telling it the expected output of the prompt template. And what we've learned is that a minimal prompt with minimal instructions gets minimal results. And so we've invested in adding data to your prompt templates and making sure that we can add the right instructions. So we're going to work together and make this a little bit better. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to give it more instructions. So the role. So I'm saying, okay, you are a senior sales strategy analyst. That already helps the large language model understand who it's creating the summary for. And then I'm also giving it something that's like, okay, please generate a structured summary, right? I'm not exactly clear on what that structured summary is. So I can click preview again, and I'm going to invoke the model to see that generated response one more time. And if you look at this, we're a little bit closer, right? Like it's pulling in the right fields. It even named it executive summary. So those two lines made a really big difference in what the model returned, right? But I'm noticing here on the right, it's a little bit too much information. maybe I don't want to pull in all of this data. So I'm going to go back to the prompt, and I'm going to do one more thing. I'm going to specify the exact fields on the opportunity object that I want. I'm going to specify the structure, the output of what I want it to look like, and I'm even going to give it guidelines and a word limit. So you can see here, like, we have built this in a step-by-step to try to understand what instructions, what data do I need to provide to the model. And if I look at the right here from that response, that's looking pretty good, I think, right? It's getting the fields, it has a structure. And so now we've taken it to version 2. This is where it gets really important. We've added the persona, we've added expected sections in the output, and we've grounded the prompt with even more CRM data. And the reason this is important is now the large language model knows who it is, what to write, and how to write it. So that's great, but I've realized that, my organization has necessary information that I want to pull in, and I've already created some flows and Apex classes in the future that I think would be really relevant to this executive summary. So I'm going to go back to my prompt, and I'm going to add those actions. We've invested a lot in the amount of data and what types of data you can bring into your prompts. So as you can see here, I've added this really detailed section that's pulling in flows and Apex classes available to me. But something new that some of you all might not know is we've added the ability for you to configure these actions in the resource panel. Previously, only actions that had the same inputs as your prompt template showed up in Prompt Builder. But now you have access to many different actions that are available in your org, including search retrievers, flows that maybe don't match, and so you can go into this side panel and actually configure. So you can type in the right input and all of that right from within this side panel here. So this really gives you more power to add in the right data and to configure it to exactly what you need. So if I preview this again, I'm going to see an amazing grounded response from this LLM. I get the quick details on the deal overview. I'm even pulling in an engagement score from Flow. I have a risk analysis, and I provided my sales rep next steps and an executive recommendation. So what you can see here is we've really taken from the first step with that one sentence prompt template all the way to pulling in actions grounded in your real-time data. And we're going to continue to invest in the type of data that you can pull into your prompt templates because we know that that is the secret sauce. So now that I've built this and I'm pretty happy, the next step of the life cycle is really important. And we're also investing in the testing phase. So as I showed you, you can preview right within the builder. But maybe what you might not have noticed, because we just released this, is this new Performance Insights panel. With this panel, you can see both latency and token count. And you can drill in to understand what is taking a couple of seconds versus what is fast. And this allows you to optimize your prompt template right from the builder. We've also heard feedback that you need to understand total token count because your total tokens are used to calculate the flex credits, so how much your prompt actually costs to your organization. So you can see the total tokens, but you can also drill down and try to understand what fields or what flows are pulling in information that's causing your token count to increase. That's one way where you can continue to test. But we also have things like batch APIs that we recently released, so you can batch test your prompts. Agentforce Grid just went live where you can actually pull in your prompt templates and run them at scale. And we're also excited to announce that pretty soon in Testing Center in Agentforce Studio, you'll be able to test your prompts. That means that you can see the response but you can also add in evaluations like conciseness or coherence, these industry standard evals, or even create your own evaluations so that you are confident enough to deploy your prompt template. I'm going to pass it back to Jaswinder to talk about that deployment phase.
Thank you, Liz. So I want to point out one thing in here that Liz mentioned is test and refine. So there's a circle within a circle. So you don't just preview it and say, I want to use it. You circle it, you refine it, you keep refining until the response that you want is there. Now that you have the prompt, what do you do with it? You have to deploy it. Well, deploy it to users. How can they use it? If you are familiar with prompt template types, then you already know. If you're not, so prompt template types match to apps or features. For example, if you create a sales email template, you can use those templates in Sales Email Editor. In our case, we use field generation, so you can use those templates on a record page. Beside the field, you would see the Einstein Sparkle button. But what you may not know is all of the templates, regardless of their template types, you can use them through flows and Apex. That may seem simple, but it's not. That means you can use this template anywhere you can use flow or Apex. So you can use it in the record trigger. So in this case, I could have easily created a record triggered flow or Apex trigger, say when the opportunity is there, if it goes to this stage, run this template, summarize it, and update the field, and you could automate it. And that's where batch APIs come in. You can run those in batches, update the records in thousands, 10,000s. And that's what Grid provides too. So in this case, we are just solving for each user one at a time. So we have this opportunity record, and we want to make it so the user of this record can generate the summary from this. What do I need to do? The very first thing I need to make sure is the template is activated. So in this case, it is, because you can see the version 11 is active. Then I can go in settings and edit page. It'll open an app builder. So when you click on details, you have to make sure it's updated to use the forms, dynamic forms, and then find the field for which the template was made for. And again, that goes back to template type. This template is field generation, and it was created for a specific field, in this case, summary. So I will not see this in any other field. I will only see this in that field. So when I click on that field, it will check what templates are available, and here I have connected this to that template type. I save and activate this page if not already, and then when I go back and refresh this, I will see this button. So let's run that. What it's doing right now is automatically pulling the data from this opportunity, passing it to the template, and then using that as the grounding data, executing the Apex flows or whatever data it is. There may be data cloud retrievers involved. There may be flow involved that is calling external service to pull in the data, whatever that data is, and then it sends to LLM and does that, and then I can just use it and save it. So that's how we deploy it to the users. But we are in Salesforce. You do not do your development in production orgs. You mostly do it in your sandboxes. So this is a sandbox. How can I deploy it to production? The standard deployment procedures apply. The prompt template metadata is available through MD API. That means CLI. That means DevOps Center. Any third-party tools like Copado, I can use chain sets too. So use that to deploy to production, and then you can deploy it as activated or not activated, and activate it there however you want, and then you can release it to your users. So that's what this is what we did. We made it available to users through record page button, and then used, in this case, change set to deploy to production. We have a session tomorrow at 8:30 a.m. with Copado, where you can see the whole process of Copado deploying this and the DevOps Center and how change sets work. And let's not forget packages, managed, unmanaged, and unlocked. So you will see those there tomorrow for the deployment options and how this whole process works and how you can safely deploy it to production. Okay, now that users have started using it, is this the end of it? We were very clear in the beginning that it's a prompt template lifecycle, it's a circle. So no, it's never the end of it. You build any feature, forget AI, any feature, it's never the end of it because users will say, I want this, I want the button there, can you do this, can you do that? It's always a cycle. And so is the case in this scenario. And here, you can use inbuilt features. You may have seen this in Agentforce 2. You can give it thumbs up, or you can give it thumbs down. And if you give it thumbs down, then you can try and say, I want to do this. Can you add risk signals from support cases and competition? I want this information here. You submit. I say, I don't like it. This information is stored in Data Cloud. It's part of the feature we call audit trail and feedback. Data from feedback goes in that feature as well as audit trail. And audit trail is every single time you make an AI call in Salesforce that goes to LLM, it's recorded. And as the name implies, it's for auditing purposes. You can look at what was sent back, how many tokens, all of that information is in Data Cloud. For now, let's take a look at the feedback. So we have Data Explorer in Data Cloud. In the data model object, we have GenAI feedback. We have feedback detail. And I also mentioned app generation, gateway request, gateway response. All of that information is there as long as you have enabled it. It uses data credits, but with AI SKUs, you get those data credits for this exact purpose, audit trail and feedback. So we have a feedback here, and I can see this. For now, I'm showing you in a record format, but you can create dashboards. I'm not sure that we have it in the roadmap, but we are looking into Safe Harbor again, a feature for prompt analytics where we are going to provide you with an out-of-the-box dashboard in Agentforce Studio, similar to Agent Analytics, if you have seen Agentforce Studio. And then the admin goes in there, and somehow it gets to, oh, OK, this is what I need to do. That's how the feedback gets to them. They go back to the template, and then they say, OK, I will create a new version, and then I will add their feature. Now, don't look at it as I've just added a line, which in this case I did. But you will analyze it, saying, what does it mean? Maybe go back to the user saying, what do you mean? Oh, OK, I need to get that data. I need to get it from this source. I need to do this. I need to create a new Apex class. It could be anything. And then you would include that in this template. You will go through that cycle of test and refine. Test it, make sure everything is working. But now it's easier. You simply, when you're ready, activate the new version. So wherever that template is being used, in this case record page, but it could be Flow, it could be Apex, wherever that template is being used, including Agentforce, it will automatically start using the new version. You don't need to do anything. So if I go in here and if I refresh this page, then and to users, that's transparent. They don't need to know that you did anything. So next time when they use it, they will see the new output. And then it'll simply work for them. It's seamless. It's transparent. It just works. By the way, that was the very first thing we heard about Prompt Builder. I remember our first TDX when we came, and I talked to everybody, and that was the common line. It just works. I love that line. It works. You add instruction, you use it, it's there. So that's the feedback and improve that we did. get the feedback, keep on improving. And it's not just the user feedback. Maybe we created that for executives. They say, I want a new section. I want more information. So an executive says, I want more information. And then you go back to planning. How do you get it? And then build, test, and refine. The whole cycle continues. And with that, I will hand it over to Harshni.
Sounds good. So we've walked you through a number of different pieces of how Prompt Builder comes together. There are 3 key tools to remember, and then after that, we're going to get into the 2 surprises that we mentioned with some sneak peeks that you're going to get to see even before the sneak peek session, so those haven't even happened yet. So when we're thinking about Prompt Builder, again, Prompt Builder is your home base for actually creating, testing, managing, versioning, but the way that you actually get all of that value out of Prompt Builder is that, 1, you need to actually ground your prompts. And so we have many different ways that you can do that and many different sources you can pull in. And then finally, you also, when you go to deploy and monitor, you want to make sure that you're deploying where your users are and where they will most need it. And so again, there are many different ways in which you can do that. So you've seen many of the features that we have now. We've highlighted some of our favorites here on the screen in that GA section. And then when we get to the roadmap, again, there's a lot more coming to Prompt Builder. So pretty soon, you'll be able to use AI to support your prompt template creation. You'll be able to use conditional expressions. We'll have new formatting so that you can operate with more ease. We'll have open language responses. And then these last 2 are ones that we want to walk you through in a little bit more depth. So first, we'll talk about bring your own code with Liz.
Thank you, Harshini. So we're really excited to talk about bring your own code, which is where you can write and call Python functions directly from Prompt Builder. So you all heard about Agentforce Vibes in the keynote earlier today. Well, you can use Agentforce Vibes to create a code extension function, which then gets ingested in Data Cloud, is registered in the external services catalog, and turns into an invocable action that you can call from Prompt Builder. This is coming very soon, and this is really powerful because these Python functions go beyond just the regular Apex classes that you can create within Salesforce today. So we're really excited to launch this coming very soon. I'm going to pass it back to Harshini to talk about AI skills.
Great. And so now this is the other preview we wanted to give you. I'm going to give you a very quick version of it, and if you're curious to learn more, like I said, you're getting this before even the sneak peek. The sneak peek happens at 2:30. Jaswinder and I will be headed over there, and so if you want to learn more, you can follow us over to the sneak peek area. But we are introducing AI skills, which is essentially a way for you to build skills with Prompt Builder. And so what does that mean? Well, if you're familiar with Claude skills or things like that, we have Slack skills now as well. It's that same type of construct where now you can take a prompt and also layer different actions alongside that prompt to then be able to create a full workflow that you're able to automate. What does all of this mean? So let's go ahead, and you're going to see a very early version of this that I will talk you through. So each user will have access to their own skill library with all of the skills that they have access to. So you can see each of them, you can clone these, you can run any of these skills directly. But in this case, let's say that I actually want to create a new skill. So right here from the library, I'll click New Skill, and I will have the opportunity to just describe the skill that I would like to create and have agentic assistance or AI assistance in creating that. So in this case, maybe I want to summarize a case, post that summary, and then close the case. All I did was type that, and now you can see we've created the scaffolding for that skill. This first page shows you the key elements, the instructions, the different tools that are required to make that happen. And you can also toggle into the editor mode where you'll actually see that actual skill.md file. You can click onto tools to configure them, and you can make your edits directly here. You can also see in one place all of the different resources associated with that skill, so that you can continue to set those. Now, if this all looks good, I'm going to click Save and Preview, but of course to preview, I also need to specify what I would like to try that preview on. So I'll go ahead and put in a case number here. With that case number, I can preview. Again, this is a critical step. You can see what is happening at each stage as the skill is run. And then once that's complete, you'll see an overview of the outputs at each stage, as well as the final state of running this skill. In this case, a success. Now, the point of this is for end users to be able to use this skill. So let's move over to the service console, where a user can actually then open their own skill library in their flow of work. They can click on the same skill that we just created and published for them and go ahead and run that here. We know which opportunity page we're on, so we're not asking the user to type in the opportunity that they're already directly looking at. We can infer that that's what they're trying to operate on. We go ahead, that skill is complete. Again, in this case, the user gets a success message relevant for them. And now they can also go ahead and refresh this page to confirm that the action's completed as expected. In this case, that the case has closed and that the summary was posted as a comment. So this was a very quick run through of what some of our early prototyping around these skills will look like. With that, we wanted to save a little bit of time for Q&A. So first, thank you again so much for coming to this session. Thank you for all your usage of Prompt Builder. We saw a lot of hands up at the beginning. I think you all have probably seen this slide already, but please do give us feedback. And especially the survey for this session gives you all a chance to give some additional feedback, so please do look at that. We will open up for Q&A in just one moment, but I'm going to leave this up here. These are your other Prompt Builder sessions happening throughout TDX. Again, there's more sneak peeks both today and tomorrow, so if you're curious about skills, you can literally follow the two of us over as we walk over to that stage from here. There's also more sneak peeks of additional features coming to Prompt Builder tomorrow afternoon. There's a session just when they're mentioned about tomorrow morning, and an Agentforce True to the Core deep dive. With that, we will open it up to questions, and remember you have 4 of your Prompt Builder PMs and 1 of your Prompt Builder engineers here, so it's a great time to ask us the Prompt Builder questions you've always wanted to ask.